Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, Olympics are in full swing, which for me it's an awesome time of the year. And I mean, usually I don't watch like a ton of team sports, but I mean, basketball has been like quite the thing. Like
Yeah.
it has been awesome.
Yeah.
The first day was just a blast with I watched Australia and Canada, and then I watched USA yesterday. I have to watch Germany yet. Fred Katz, friend of the pod, told me that it's probably one that I should go back and rewatch. But it has been awesome so far, which it's insane. By the way, and then I'll shut up for the Olympics. If you ever been in Paris in
Yeah.
your life, just watch where the venues are because it's insane. I mean, they built basically like close to every like Tour Eiffel and like old buildings and stuff like that. They basically either build a venue inside or in the gardens. They're doing like a question in Versailles, which is this amazing, majestic palace of the kings. It's just worth your time. Just watch where the venues are. Not even need to watch a minute of sport if you don't like it, but it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. It does. It looks amazing. It makes me a little bit jealous of. I've got some of my athletic colleagues that are in in France right now, and I'm pretty jealous after like watching a lot of this coverage. It's been unbelievable. We will talk more about Shai and Team Canada's first game. They do play tomorrow. If you're wanting to get up early in the morning, if you're in Central Time, it's a 6:30 a.m. tip for Canada Australia, which I'm going to pop up for and watch and have some kind of recap either on here or on the Dream Team show. Um, but yeah, that should be really fun. That should be really fun. And then the USA plays Wednesday afternoon, Central Time. They play the South Sudan again, which my expectation is that they are going to pummel South Sudan on Wednesday. I think it is going to be a massacre. Like this could be like a 50-point massacre on Wednesday. Looking forward to both of those. We will talk about Shea here shortly. A couple things before we get to that, though. Nikola Topic did have surgery last week
Mhm.
um, on his left ACL and is expected to miss all of next season. And I think it'll be similar with Chet, where maybe there will be times where he'll be up and running and looking okay toward the end of the season. And I think the full expectation is that they will let him rehab and then probably play summer league. I don't know that for sure, but that's just my feel for the situation. And then he'll be ready to go at the start of next year. So
Which
a
is
lot of
exactly what you want, right? To see him ready in
yes,
March, April, May.
yes,
And it's, I mean, there has been discussions, especially around Milwaukee, about, hey, we lost training camp, and so we were never able to really be something. I do think that putting in a player as special as Topic, if you like, he's not giddy, but you can take him as a proxy for what it could be. Like, like taking a guy like this, putting him in the middle of the second half of the season, and pretending that he could be fine in a role. That is just a waste of resources. Let him work. Let him see. Let him be with the team. Practice with the team. Learning the deeds. Maybe just being focused on technique, on shooting, on strength, on whatever, and then having him ready for practicing for real with the young guys in June and July, and then just show off in summer league and be ready for training camp. This is exactly what they should do. If you don't see him ready for April, then it's probably not good. It's not going as well. So that is something that, I mean, I think last year we were anxious to see Chet on the court. Well, 2 years ago, and it was for the better that he waited.
yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And I think it's going to be the same for Topic. And mean, he's one of the younger guys in this class, anyways. He's still 18 years old, and so I don't. And in a situation that's different than a lot of the other 18-year-olds, Salon is 18, but he's going to a pretty non-pressure situation with the Hornets. You look at Bub Carrington, who went to the Wizards, who's also 18, in a very non-pressure situation in Washington, where it's just like, let's develop. Become Daddier is also 18 years old, and is just likely to just not play for the Knicks.
For the Knicks, yeah.
So you look at Topic, and it's not like he'd have some big role, but my guess is that if he were completely healthy, one, he would have not dropped the Thunder at 12, and then two,
Yes.
he would probably play a little bit for OKC, and it would be a pretty high pressure environment. Like you're on a really good team, you've got to be good, and so it gives him just a chance to just kind of take everything in. He can work on his shooting. I mean, that's what Chet did during the entire red shirt year that he had, was he just worked on shooting all the time. And I think that Topic is going to have a similar outcome there, where it's just going to be like work on shooting, work on being, just taking in the team. That he'll be able to work a lot in film. He'll be able to be with the team. And so there's a lot of benefits that I think that will be had, and that we have seen play out with Chet. And so I think it's going to be really good for him overall. Obviously, you'd never want anybody to start their career hurt, but to have a team that's already gone through it, that has had a lot of success going through it, and for Chet to come back and play not 82 games, but what was it, 82 plus 10 plus 5? That's the amount that he played, and I think that Topic, it could have a similar outcome there. Okay. I did want to touch on it's not really a rumor, but anytime that Lauri Markkanen is brought up, the Thunder are always somehow brought up, whether there was like a Clutch Points article that was written, and I think like on the Hoop Collective and in other places, like he's just mentioned almost every time that anybody wants to talk about Markkanen. And so I just thought it would be good to, one, take a look at like some of Sam Presti's words. It's not obviously about this specific situation, but just look at some of his words when it comes to team building, and then just kind of talk about the possibility and what it means. So it's kind of interesting. Just a week ago was the 5-year anniversary of Sam Presti's article that he wrote on the Oklahoman. And I think it's just so interesting to revisit. I wanted to just read a couple segments of it and then just relate it to the Markkanen conversation. So it's kind of, I mean, reading over it again is pretty wild, just because a lot of it has come to fruition so quickly. But okay, so he says, in order to build and then sustain, and he really, that part is really singled out, and then sustain. So like that is a huge part of the conversation.
Yeah.
A truly great basketball team, it requires a method. This method is not guesswork or a convenient message that miscasts others' good fortune as a repeatable skill. To build true excellence in any industry and then sustain it requires trading on time and playing the empirical odds. This is like basically like, we're gonna tank. This requires a strategic discipline and thoughtful patience, but these are values our organization has always held high. That's how longevity is earned. Like that's a big deal. That's a big part of this conversation, and it is important to remember that. And then he says, our ultimate goal is to build a team that will inspire the same kind of joy, success, and togetherness that we have experienced over our first 11 years. This will take time and involve hard choices. There will always be the temptation to take shortcuts, to look for quick fixes, and to reach out for instant gratification. There will no doubt be criticisms, much of which we could all recite in advance right now. It is the job of the organization to resist these shortcuts, accept the criticism, and keep us deeply committed. If you want an exceptional outcome, you must be willing to be the exception. Therefore, my singular goal as we transition our basketball team is to reposition and replenish the organization to allow for optimal future success. So those are all Presti's words.
Yeah.
Obviously, like very thought out. And like some of the things that stick out to me with both these little passages is the thought of sustained success.
Yes.
If the Thunder could easily acquire Lauri Markkanen if he is indeed available for trade. It would not. You could do it without touching the top 3 guys. You could do it probably with Case and Wallace picks and then cap filler could get you there. And he only makes 18 million, so it's not that hard to get there.
Yeah, and the cap filler might not be Lou Dort. It can be done without.
Yeah, you could do it. But
you can do Kenrich, Usman Jang, and Kaysen Wallace, and I think that you are right there.
Yeah.
Which, if you put it like this, people actually question you. Are you insane? Like, are you saying to me that today you can take away 3 guys, only one is possibly making the deep rotations in the playoffs, and I mean, he has a natural substitute in Caruso, and you were saying that we will not do that trade? First of all, shout out to the Oklahoma and Joe Lorenzi to go back and comment this to a larger extent.
Go read Joel. Joel did a really good job of kind of retracing some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's a great piece, and I mean, if we want to swing into just a trade discussion over here, yes, it might be the next year you are an insane team, just an insane team. Mm-hmm. But then you are up, and if you already have 3 max guys basically on your team. Lauri, if he goes away from Utah, and probably even if he stays in Utah, is a max guy. Yeah. Then you have 30 millions for Hartenstein, and boom, you are in the second apron immediately. Yeah. As early as next year. Yeah. Which means that your roster is set. Great. You have a lot of avenues to really improve your roster without having to deal with the second apron because you have draft picks. Yes. But also, no, because you are not really looking into, yes, monetarily, the team can make sense for a couple of years, but you have to really manage like the other guys. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that Chet was, I think, really underused on offense. That J-Dub has another gear to go. Totally. That guys like Case and Wallace may really grow into something, and you have team control for 3 years. Yep. So it's not just salary, which is already a huge part, and flexibility, which is already a huge part, but it is growing something organically, allowing stuff to blossom. Because in February last year and this year, the Markkanen thing was a thing. Like, should OKC trade for Markkanen? And in both second halves, OKC did amazing job without trading for Lauri. And even if you look at the playoffs, yes, they missed the shooter, and Lauri is definitely a shooter. And yes, they missed a little bit of size. And yes, Lauri has that. But they did not miss like a guy who takes 15 shots. Mm-hmm. They missed guys that can take open shots. They missed a lot someone who can hold the fort when Chet was not
just
on the
guys
court.
That have experience being in the playoffs. Yeah. It was like largely what they lacked. It's just that guys that weren't ready for the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that overall, yes, OKC can trade for that, but I think that there are other moves that will come to fruition in the market over the next 6 months that may be so much better. We always look to Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn has 2 guys that are low-level version of what Lauri can be, especially Cam Johnson. Finney Smith is a different kind of guy. Those 2 will be out of Brooklyn because Brooklyn wants to win 12 games. And if you want to win 12 games, if you have Cam Johnson, either you're not playing him or you are going to trade him. And it's just a matter of time. They are waiting because, I mean, they can do a bidding war maybe in February, which may be a good thing. But I mean, there are other avenues to improve the roster without committing to a guy like Lauri, which requires a lot more than just millions in your books in order to work to perfection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Markkanen is a really good shooter, like a
Yeah.
really, really good shooter. And he's not a great playmaker. He's not a great defender. He's not even he's an okay rebounder for a 7-footer. He's not a great
Yeah.
rebounder for a 7-footer. Would he help this team? Definitely. Would definitely help the team next year. But when we're talking about, here's the deal. This is something the Thunder have. One, they want to have sustained success. And over the next 2 years, they have the opportunity to duck the tax while being a contender. And you can do it 2 years in a row. And then
Insane. This is insane, by the way.
Yeah, that is like, listen, that's the work that they have done, that the front office has done up to this point. And are you going to have a much better chance to win the title with Markkanen than without him? I don't know. I think that you can. Everybody's saying that with the team that the Thunder have today, that they will be the number 1 seed and the team that they're picking to come out of the West. There's a lot of people saying that. Markkanen, I think, could help you, but I don't think he's necessarily like pushing you so far over the edge that it's like, oh yeah, you're winning the title for sure next year if you have Markkanen. Like, I think they could win the title next year with who they have now. And if you can win the title and have 2 cracks at it before you have to pay the luxury tax, like that is how you have sustained success. Is that you can sign these guys to whatever deals they want in Shai, Chet, and J-Dub and fill in around them. And if you don't have that third or fourth, if you don't have the 4th guy that's making near max money, then you can actually sustain it for a long time. So I do think that they need to I think they're going to hold. I don't think this is going to be something that they're going to go after. And I just want to make sure that Thunder fans know, like, this is like the marketing stuff. People are going to continue to draw lines to the Thunder just because they have assets. But I think that it's probably more likely that they use those assets to sustain, where they're at and to continue to add draft picks and add players to this, because they're not going to be able to keep everybody.
Yeah.
This team in 3 years is going to look a lot different than it does today. And so I don't necessarily think that those picks are going to be used to trade for a star. They have their 3 stars. And now it's about, how do we get those guys to be better? How do we give those guys more reps? And if you look at what they did this summer, it was all about getting players in that can help them and that can accentuate their play. It's not about, what can we do to just add on top. No, it's like, how do we maximize these 3? And I don't think that Markkanen would necessarily do that. I think that he's taking shots away from these guys. He's used to now taking 16 or 17 shots per game. I don't think that he's going to be super happy coming to OKC and taking 9.
Yeah.
So I just think like that's a pipe dream. And it's one that speaks directly in contradiction of what Sam Presti has publicly told everybody on what he wants to do. So I just think like it's important for people to just be aware of that when it comes to like what the Thunder can do or will do in the future, that it's about sustaining what they have. And if people think that they have greatness, they're like, what? Then like, what are we even talking about? Is kind of how I feel.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that OKC, after like 4 months next season, will not do a trade, will not make a trade. That is not what it means. I go back to the Mike Conley trade for Mini. That was an interesting trade. I mean, Mike was in a different spot in terms of career. He was not like a guy who needed to be the guy. He was fine being in an ancillary role for the team, letting other guys shine. If OKC finds a Mike Conley in a wing buddy available for the right price, I think that is maybe a way in which you consolidate stuff that you have. If you can have 3 years of a Conley wing which I have no idea who that guy is, because wings are either all-stars or very, very expensive players anyhow. There is no like former borderline all-star. There is no like player that comes to my mind which is not a max guy, but also like a former very, very good wing that you can get for there is no Andre Iguodala available on the market today.
Yeah.
Mainly because like wings in their 35, 38, 40 are still extremely functional to NBA. So to NBA basketball. So it's much harder to find. But if someone is available of that kind, I'm sure that OKC will take a hard look like they did with Artenstein,
Yeah.
paying him even maybe a little bit more, but in a controlled way. Like you're not paying Lauri 50 millions.
Yeah.
If you do, if you say that you, again, I don't know who that person is, but you find the perfect guy, and it requires moving on from one of the core pieces, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, whatever, and you consolidate mostly the same salary for a big improvement. I think that they will look deeply into that,
Yeah.
but in a controlled, um, and I would say with a plan in mind. Just not, hey, marketing is nice and we want him right now.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that the marketing thing is a shortcut to a degree on for this team, which is directly what Presti talked about in that piece, that they weren't going to take shortcuts. They were,
Yeah.
and they've stayed true to their word on that. They built through the draft. They used this last year to kind of see what they had. They traded Giddy, got a better fitting player in Caruso. They pursued Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency and got him. Like those two guys, like we haven't even seen what they can do. And I know that people are very excited about it. I don't need to even get people excited about those guys because I think that people understand the level of player that they are. But still, the biggest improvements are going to come from Shai, J Dub, and Chet, and like what they become, and really their second year together. This is only year 2 with that core, which is it feels kind of crazy to even say it out loud
Yeah.
because it's been such a short amount of time, but it really has been. And you get Case and Wallace another year under his belt, who I think has a lot of room for upside. You get Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins in situations where it's like, hey, we want you here long term. We want you to put in the work. And I think like sometimes that can be a really good thing for guys. And then like somebody else is probably going to pop, whether it's Jang or Dylan Jones or AJ Mitchell or Topich. Like one of those guys is likely to pop and to be something for this team moving forward. But if you bring in guys that are going to take a ton of shots, you're not going to get the opportunity to find out. Some of this is that there's still a lot of growth potential within the current roster. And the only way for that to happen is for guys to get minutes and
Yeah.
opportunities. And if you're going to bring in somebody that's going to take 30 minutes and 16 shots, well, it's going to limit your ability to kind of find what's next for this roster. And I think that they did an incredible job last year of threading the needle of development and also being great. And I think that they're going to not pay the luxury tax next year. And it's going to happen again the following year if all kind of stays the way that it is, which is incredible work, and it offers longevity that does not exist. Like, I just want to emphasize that the longevity that we're talking about doesn't exist under this new CBA unless you're prepared like the Thunder are. And I just do not think they're going to screw that up by going and signing somebody that's going to get this big contract extension and is going to put the clock is ticking like big time. If you make a deal like that, it's like, okay, now you have 2 years to win a title. If they can hold this together, it's like, no, if all goes like we hope that it does, we'll have 7 years to win
Yeah.
it and not 2.
And
So
then there's a big looming questions. This is very important. Suppose that they pay Lauri Markin and you even win the title, but how can you pay Cooper Flag next?
that's right. That's the looming question. It's like,
Exactly.
how are we going to play capture the flag if we have are paying out the nose for the current team?
Exactly. Pay and play. Like he'll
Right.
be in the same role. He'll be making a lot of money. Like, how can we do that?
Can't do it.
Exactly.
Can't
So,
do it. And if I'm Utah, I'm demanding that pick be in the deal, by the way.
the Clippers one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
There might not be a lot of players for which I would be, with like trading that pick right now. It has an immense value.
Oh my
Like
god.
it's one of those things where it's the Schrödinger cat. Like either you wait or you don't, but the value is not known now. Like the result is not known now. So if you trade it now, it may be the highest value of that pick. If you
Yeah,
wait, it may
could be.
be the highest. You don't know now. But in the situation in which OKC is, like again, I don't know if there is a player who fits that kind of mold that can be available. Maybe Olympic Melo or Olympic KD. Who knows?
Olympic Mellow?
Yeah, is there like I don't know Olympic KD? That looked even better than Olympic Melo. I mean,
He was great.
it was like just outrageous, like not real at times.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I
it
know.
seems like a video game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, I will hit that. I was listening to the Italian commentary and they were just flat out laughing, like uncontrollably, hysterically laughing about KD making every single shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. Yeah, I mean, you look at 2025. I mean, the Thunder are going to have a lot of draft picks available to them, and you just the patience and the fact that the Thunder want longevity is really important. That's really important moving forward. Is like now that we have this, let's see if we can make another decade long run. Would be like the hope,
Yeah.
because that's when you're doing something that's pretty special. And if things break right, then you're going to have the crack at a title, or more than that. So I just wanted to cover that again. I know that maybe some people are like, why are we covering this again? Like we've talked about 1,000 times. I just think it's important just to address as like we kind of get through the summer, and as we look more at, these potential deals and what's hanging out there. And I just think that it's important for people to know that when the Thunder have the chance to do something really, really special, and making a trade for a guy like Markkanen, who I honestly believe is getting way overrated. Can I say that too? I think he's
You
getting.
can, but it's
I
a
think.
weird define overrated. What is to you the perceived value of Lauri Markkinen?
Well, some people are saying that if he was traded to the Warriors, like he would be their second star
Yeah, I think that is correct.
and like make them like close to title contenders.
No, that I don't agree to that.
Yeah, I
I
just
think
don't.
that
I
they
mean,
can
he's a good
be a
player. He's a good.
47 win team with
Yeah,
him.
yeah, possibly. He's a good player, but I just don't see. I mean, he would clearly be the fourth guy on the Thunder. You know,
Yeah,
I just I think he's gotten a little bit overrated. I think if he's in that role, I think that people would understand like what he is and who he is, and I think he could be amazing in that role for OKC. But I'm just thinking about like if teams fork over like the Mikal Bridges deal for him, where it's like tons of unprotected picks, and I just think they're going to be left disappointed. Like I don't like if I were the Warriors, I would not be pulling the trigger on that. Like I would wait and try to see if I could find something better
it's
to
highly
upload your
dependent
picks on.
on where you are. Like I can understand the Knicks going full on Mikal Bridges because that
Mhm.
is probably a way to build the Villanova guys and make a contender right there. I think that New York has a legit chance to give Boston fits.
Yeah.
I don't think that any teams in any team in the West, besides probably, I mean, if Dallas instead of Clay would have gotten Lauri, I would be like it would be different. It would be much different. They could be probably the perceived number one seed in the West because it fits so perfectly for them. They are already close. I think that they will between them and OKC and Minnesota, they will be probably in a span of 4 or 5 games at the end of it. Like I
Mhm.
don't see like the T Wolves or the Thunder or the Mavs winning 65 games and the other one 55, 57. I see them all in the 52 to 58, 59 range next year. Markkanen does, I think, improve quite a bit the outlook of Dallas. Maybe putting them in first spot in the West. So I think that it can be great for them. It will be probably their third best player though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this answered your question or not, or
I just
whatever.
think he's overrated. I just think he's become overrated through the entire discussion.
Is he a number one, number two option on a contending team? No.
No,
If that is.
No.
I agree with that. It can be a great third though.
If he was, there would be zero chance that Utah would think about trading him, or that there would be trade discussions, for him. Think about like the stuff with Shai. Whenever the Thunder were in position to tank, and people were talking about trading Shai, the conversations never got anywhere.
Yeah,
never went anywhere.
Yeah,
and so there was never. I don't think there was ever a thought or consideration of that being a thing. And maybe it ultimately will not be, and Lauri will get the extension, and he'll be in Utah moving forward. This is what happens with players on teams that aren't that good, that have good players on them. It's like, okay, well, they need to be on a different team. I think Utah should tank. I think that they should trade. I think they should trade Lauri. I think that that's what they should do immediately. Especially if you could get a Mikal Bridges type of trade. I think like that's a better direction for your team. But if they think he's a Shai type of player, they won't trade him. And
yeah, rightfully so. They have just to sit him, like the Spurs should do with Wemby next year, and or hire Vincent Collet as their like new NBA coach, so that he can do the best possible job at not making him the first option of your team, which is something that happened in day one of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about the Olympics. And we're back after that quick break. Michele, Team Canada played the Greek Olympic team a couple days ago, and it was such a delightful game. Shai, there were so many fun things about the game. Number one is that Shai, I don't know if this is just like him fighting for his country, or if this is him just kind of like growing into his own a little bit, but Shai brought a little extra, I guess is what I would say. Specifically, at the end of the game, there was some like kind of yelling back and forth, some taunting. Even at the beginning of the game, he hits that shot over Nick Calathes, and Calathes kind of trips, and Shai falls back, and Shai is kind of resting, laying down on the ground. Like, he just brought a little bit extra with him, and I really liked it. I thought it was awesome, and I think that he is. We have to remember, like, he's entering like his pre-prime right now.
Yeah.
And I think that Shai's a very nice guy and always has been, and is going to not ever be like some mean person. But I think he could take in a little bit more as far as like toughness and just like outward toughness. And he started to show that specifically in this game. And I think that if he starts bringing that to the table a little bit, I don't think it would be a bad thing for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, no, that was probably one of the things that I liked the most about the game, with other two, which is the closing time for Shai, which naturally, fluidly, and with no effort, just put the game away, which is exactly what you want from your star. And also Lou Dort being the perfect version of himself, just being a maniac defensively. He made like 2-3 plays where, I mean, I was speechless about the acumen, the strength, and probably the funniest moment was when he was called for a foul because Laurentsakis, the same guy who had issues with Shai, just tried to force an action, and he literally bounced back when he hit Lou Dort, and he was called for a foul. Lou was. So, I mean, he's in fantastic basketball shape. Just unbelievable. And I mean, he was really, really functional to just keep whatever point of attack player in check for whatever 18 minutes. Again, I already made a pretty big rant on the Dream Team for the way in which
Yeah.
this game was refereed, but officiated. Sorry, but this is FIBA, so I mean I'm sure that Lou will adjust. But game one was just a clinic defensively for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lou is really good, and I just expect Lou to kind of bring some of the same stuff. Shai was like a star in this one.
Yes.
There were with 103 left. Canada was only up 2, and it was looking pretty dicey actually in the moment. And then they double team Shai. They send 2 to him, and he just cooks them both, and then floats it up over Giannis in the lane, and he's just toying with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that play with what was happening in the moment. It was such a sick play. Like I still honestly can't believe that he did that. That was just like you said, the way that he closed the game and just kind of put it away there was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. And then Shai yelling after the game, like we mentioned as well, where Giannis kind of like puts his arm out at him, and he's not done talking. It was pretty incredible. It was incredible, and it obviously like Shai is like the dude for this Olympic team. And I don't think that was ever a question, but
he had to go against like 2 NBA players, and it wasn't very easy to against Giannis and against Jamal Murray on the same game. It was quite the effort for Jamal.
What was up with him? What's going on?
He was just insanely bad. Like
he was.
He had like just one moment where he cooked 2 guys and took a pull-up jumper, which was, hey, now Jamal is awake. No, he wasn't. He turned the ball over like crazy. He made 0. Like he played like just a terrible game. Defensively, he's a sieve, but we all knew that. But the fact that he couldn't play offensively, that is something really unexpected. Like he could not stay on the court and dribble against very good European defenders.
Yeah.
But come on, man. Like they are like normal guys. You should really beat them off the dribble and torch them.
Yes, he should have. It was honestly just weird.
Yeah.
I guess it would be like the only way that I could really put it. Is it was just strange seeing Jamal play that poorly. And I would expect him to be better, moving forward. Because like they kind of got a scare from a Greek team that's just not that good. Like that team is not very good.
Yeah.
They just have Giannis, and when you have Giannis, you've got a chance to do just about anything. But
you don't like Vasilis Charalampopoulos?
Nope. Not even going to try to say it.
By the way, OKC should. I mean, the on the Greek team there is one of the big what ifs. I mean, Papa Nikolaou is the best of the glue guys in Europe.
Yeah,
he's basically a Batum light.
When was he drafted?
I think around the same time that Batum was drafted.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, man, he was certainly. Let's see. Papa Nikolaou played 2 years in the league. He was in the 14-15. He's in the 14 draft, I guess.
Yeah.
No, he's in the 12 draft and then took a couple years to come over. He was the 48th pick overall. Yeah, I mean, I like him too. I think like if he wanted to, and he obviously it just didn't work in his 2 years. And sometimes guys just do that. Some guys are like, all right, I'll give it a couple years, and their heart is just, with the EuroLeague instead.
Yeah.
I think like Arbrinas was one of those guys where it's like, all right, we'll give it a chance. Some of those guys just are not committed at such a high level to the NBA.
Yeah.
Papa Nikolaou just had never shoot the ball well.
Yeah.
And, just like
whereas
35% from the field, 29% from 3.
Yeah, whereas in Europe he's a 37.5% shooter. which is totally different.
And he's
So
6'8", can pass, and I mean he's got a lot of skill.
yeah, exactly. But anyhow, that was fun. And I mean, I think that Shea has 2 or 3 other years to go. I mean, he was really okay. Let's pace myself through this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that the fouls are just something that happened and that will not happen. I mean, having 3 guys to commit 5 fouls in 3 quarters is too much, even for EuroLeague standards. So I think that will change. I'm not sure if they are the best team. I mean, the Boomers looked very good. French looked like France with a terrible coach. So I don't know where that will go. Spain and Greece, though, I mean, over the past 20 years, they are probably the best European teams by far. And now they seem really in a downward trajectory.
Yeah. Germany
Giannis is-
too. Germany's
yeah,
good.
Germany is good. Yes. I have yet to watch it. And then there is Team USA, which seems with KD just a different team.
Yeah, they should destroy the competition. Like it should be a massacre. It won't be because it never is. Like especially when you get down to it, especially in the knockout rounds, and then for the gold medal game, it's just typically not been just some cakewalk. But they should. They're the heavy favorite. I mean, then they should be.
If Kerr puts good lineups on the court, maybe that happens. I mean, the starting unit does not make any sense to me, like any.
Yeah, there's obviously a commitment to specifically Joel Embiid being out there, and he. I mean, is it fair to say he's looked like one of the worst guys on the court for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is fair.
Yeah.
Whenever KD is on the court with like even with no center, why do we have to put a center? Just put LeBron there and it's fine. I mean, you don't really need a center against Jokic. You don't need really a center.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have. It's nice for them to have the options, though.
Yeah, the option. Like it's sure.
Yeah, sure. Kevin was unbelievable yesterday.
Yeah,
like just unbelievable. He is. A lot of people have been saying it over the past couple of days, but like Durant is probably the best international player, from the USA of all time.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see that in the numbers and in the longevity and just his commitment overall to Team USA. He's unbelievable, and it's just like willingness. Like, yeah, I'll come off the bench. I'll come in. I'll score 21 points in the first half. No big deal. And the commitment level from him is just pretty astonishing. And after the game, they were trying to get Durant. They were kind of trying to like hook him on something. They're saying like, this is I can't remember the last time I've seen you so happy playing basketball.
Oh, come on.
Did you see that? I think it was Mike Tirico that said that, and he was like, I don't know about that, but I'm having a good time, So it's like good on Kevin for not taking the bait on that one. But yeah, Kevin was great. That was.
Yeah, it's good to see him happy. To be honest,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so tomorrow morning again, the Australian national team against Canada. We have Josh Giddey versus Shai early in the morning if you're in Central Time. So I'll be watching, and we'll probably have something right after that because I just unless it's like a blowout, I probably won't do much with it. But if it's a good game, I think it's worth talking about. So if you're up watching it, maybe you can hop on a stream with me and we can just discuss it briefly. So hope everybody's doing great, and we'll talk to you guys for sure again on Wednesday.